For more than a century, the US and Canadian governments took thousands of native children from their homes and placed them into faraway boarding schools, where they were forced to adopt white ways and abandon their language and religion. Initially run through Catholic and other missionary groups, physical and sexual abuse was rampant. The architect of this policy, Colonel Richard Henry Pratt, said his aim was to kill the Indian, save the man.
My name is Andrew Windy Boy. I'm a Chippewa Cree. I did 2 boarding schools, one in Wapton Indian School in Wapton, North Dakota, and the other one is Flandreau Indian School in Flandreau, South Dakota. Mid-60s to early 70s took me to the boarding school where I wasn't allowed to talk my native tongue or practice my native ways. Numerous times they'd put on this big huge white cone, put on there, it says dunce. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know English. They put it on me, make me wear it all over. Kids would laugh at me. They took me away from all of that and punished me for talking that. It was my first language. I didn't know any other language. So whenever I talk, it came out. Cree would come out, and whenever I talk, I get hit. I got hit so much I lost my tongue. I lost my native tongue. The only thing I remember was my Indian name. Which is Senukihu, means old man eagle. That's the only Cree I knew. They beat me every day. They beat me. They cut off my hair, made me kneel in front of the door where everybody come in. Everybody make fun of me when they come by me, rub my head and laugh at me because I was talking. They caught me talking. I hope someday somebody will hear me. I hope nobody has to go through this. We have to have our own language. Because what we do when we talk to our spirits, they don't understand English. They look at you, you be talking English. What are you saying? Nobody's saying that. Cree. Like, no, you didn't know what I just said. That was a hard time in my life. I'll always remember it. for that white man, it's a terrible shame for him to be treating people like this. Because we are a people. We just need to be accepted.
Today, more than a fifth of Native Americans still live on reservations. Despite an increase over the last 40 years, reservation-based Indians continue to suffer shorter lifespans than the national average. On Pine Ridge, the average life expectancy is 66.8 years. That's lower than Sudan.
To see American poverty, all you got to do is go to your average reservation. I mean, the income is 60 to 70% lower than the average. There are more single women trying to do harder work than any other place. There is a higher rate of alcoholism, quite simply because at the edges of those reservations on the road, you got all the things that help corrupt poverty life. This is an isolated place in America that they don't want anybody else to see.
We asked for help, and then they said no, we don't have no money. Then I go to Pine Ridge, they said there's no money here. So all I say, well, what happened to the money that the elderly people get, I guess from Washington? I said, I don't know. So that's how come these elderly right around here don't hardly get no help.
At least they could let us have a good meal, peaceful meal for elderlies. They didn't go that far. I opened that storage room and here, big old sugar can, but that big, it's full of sugar. I looked down, there's worms. The white and the black heads. Look at it. Worms. And I got up and I left. Went the other way and I said, well, maybe this flour is good because they were in a container. So we swifted it and here there's mouse shit in there. This is what they were feeding the elders. We really have a hard time trying to get help. We went to superintendent 4 times. I went to the tribal president 3 times. I went to the council meeting 4 times. That council lady told me, Lorraine, this has been 5 years. You should just forget and live on like that.
The whole system down there is very, very corrupt, and it's sad. Half of that money, or maybe even less, is used to actually provide the government services. And then the other half is given out as payoffs to keep people doing the corruption. Then you have the system that you have down there.
Previously deemed unproductive and arid, the reservations have been found to be rich in energy and minerals. According to the latest estimates, 20% of America's oil and natural gas reserves are located in Indian country. While these resources have been extracted and profits accrued, corporations pay pennies on the dollar for conventional royalty rates.
You have the exercise of trust control over Indian resources by the federal government on Indian land. And the upshot of that is that the benefits that accrue from the utilization of these resources accrue to the dominant society corporations and the government itself.
In this country of canyons and of plains live a proud and aristocratic people, the Navajos, an ancient race who called themselves the people.
Between 1944 and 1989, almost 4 million tons of uranium ore were extracted from Navajo land. During the Manhattan Project and the subsequent nuclear arms race, the Atomic Energy Commission drew up contracts with private mining companies to extract the resource. Most of these contracts paid royalty rates at less than a quarter the market price and had no clauses for worker safety or cleanup responsibilities. By the 1980s, thousands of former miners had contracted cancers.
I attend meetings all across the Navajo Nation, anything related to uranium or impacts or uranium issues meetings. And you go and see and talk to these people, and they tell you stories, My dad used to work in this mine, my dad used to work in this mill. And now I'm having this type of problems. I have this health problem. Or my dad, when I was an infant, he worked near the mill, or we were doing a family operation, and they used to take us kids, and we would play alongside with them while they were doing the mining. We never thought, they were never told that ore was going to be part of a problem health effect.
The Atomic Energy Commission actively sought to silence the whistleblowers. John Goffman, the discoverer of uranium-233, was fired after exposing the official lie of safe radiation. The respected German physician, Wilhelm Huber, nearly suffered the same fate after refusing to retract his findings on the health hazards of uranium mining. By 1980, Navajo communities had seen a twofold increase in miscarriages, infant deaths, and genetic mutations.
The government was aware, the impact. And they also were aware that, if you just dump your mine waste just any location, there was going to be some environmental impact. They were aware of all this, all these years. And they never told the public or even the mining people of what happened, what's going to happen.
A public policy that was written under President Nixon in 1972, declaring our treaty territory, our region, a national sacrifice area to radiation. That's not genocide. They did it two places, with us here, the Great Sioux Nation here, and in the Southwest with the Navajos.